Have you ever wondered if the quiet things you do before bed could decide whether you'll wake up healthy tomorrow? It's unsettling to think that while many seniors drift off to sleep believing they're safe, hidden dangers are at work, silently raising the risk of a devastating stroke. I've spoken to doctors in the US and Europe who say the scariest threats aren't always loud or obvious. They're the small choices, repeated every night after 65, that strain the heart, disrupt blood flow, and weaken arteries. Elderly wisdom teaches us that living long isn't just luck, it's vigilance. In today's Elderly Reflections, I want to share 6 overlooked nighttime habits that many seniors don't realize are harming them. These aren't just warnings, they're life lessons from the elderly who learn too late and from research that can save lives. Because senior health isn't just about surviving, it's about preserving independence, dignity, and peace of mind. If you care about motivation, inspiration, and protecting those you love after 60, stay with me. And if you want more elderly reflections, quotes, and life lessons from the elderly, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Because your health, and the health of someone you love, might just depend on what you hear today. Many of us imagine that growing older means slowing down, enjoying the pleasures of life, and finally taking things easy. But there's a quiet truth that every piece of elderly wisdom reminds us of. Not all pleasures come without a cost. For seniors over 65, some of the most comforting nighttime habits can be silent threats, choices that quietly raise the risk of a devastating stroke while we sleep. Take the ritual of the late-night meal, for instance. It seems innocent, even lovely, sitting down at 8:30 or 9 to enjoy a rich pasta dish, a creamy dessert, perhaps a glass of wine. Many older adults in America and Europe see it as a reward after a long day, but doctors warn that this habit is more dangerous than it seems. When we eat heavy meals late, our body diverts blood flow to the gut for digestion, causing blood pressure spikes at precisely the wrong time, when our cardiovascular system should be resting. Research published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology shows this late-night eating is linked to poorer blood pressure control in seniors, creating the perfect conditions for a stroke in the dark of night. I remember Ruth, an 81-year-old widow from Ohio, telling me about her dinner parties. "I used to love them," she said, her eyes soft with memory. Candles on the table, friends over late, laughing for hours. I thought that was living. But her voice grew quiet when she added, "Then I had a minor stroke. My doctor asked me about my dinners. He said those nights likely played a part." She looked down, voice cracking. "I felt so stupid. I thought I was just enjoying life." That's elderly reflections at its rawest, a hard-earned lesson that what feels like living can sometimes be slow sabotage. For seniors hoping to preserve their independence, it's essential to rethink dinner habits. Eat earlier, choose lighter meals, let your heart and brain rest when they need it most. Equally overlooked is the habit of skipping water in the evening. It sounds smart. No one wants to make multiple trips to the bathroom at night, risking a fall. Many seniors even discipline themselves to stop drinking anything after 6 p.m. But this well-meaning routine comes with an unspoken threat. Dehydration thickens the blood, making clots more likely to form. Clots, of course, are the primary cause of ischemic strokes. A University of California study in 2020 confirmed that even mild dehydration raises clotting factors in older adults. Michael, a 72-year-old retired teacher in Ontario, told me about his shock after his stroke. "They said it was a clot. I don't even have heart disease. My doctor asked me if I drank water at night. I told him I stopped to avoid falling. He just nodded. Turns out I was practically inviting a stroke." Senior health is full of such cruel ironies, avoiding one risk while creating another. The solution isn't to flood your bladder before bed, but to balance hydration during the day and sip modestly at night, Talk to your doctor if nighttime trips are unmanageable. Set up night lights, clear paths, because elderly wisdom says true independence is about avoiding the hospital, not just avoiding the bathroom. Then there's the matter of sleeping position, something most people don't even question. Lying flat feels natural, restful, but for many older adults, especially those with even mild heart or lung problems, diagnosed or not, this position is risky. When you lie completely flat, gravity allows fluid to pool in the lungs. For those with heart failure or reduced cardiac function, this raises pulmonary pressure, makes breathing harder, and causes dips in nighttime oxygen levels. These dips strain the cardiovascular system, pushing blood pressure higher when it should be lowest. Irene, 77 from Wales, told me about the night everything changed. I used to hate those wedge pillows, she admitted with a sad laugh. I thought they were ugly, ruined the bedroom. Her eyes welled as she continued. Then I woke up gasping. I thought I was dying. My cardiologist told me sleeping flat was the culprit. I bought the wedge pillow the next day and never slept without it again. It's the essence of elderly reflections. Sometimes comfort means accepting change. Sometimes inspiration is simply realizing that small sacrifices today can mean waking up tomorrow. For seniors, adapting isn't giving in. It's fighting for life on your own terms. Elevate the head of your bed. Use a wedge pillow. Talk to your doctor about the right incline. Don't dismiss signs like waking short of breath or needing extra pillows as just aging. Senior health means listening to the body's warnings before they become emergencies. These habits might seem small: what time you eat, how much water you drink, the way you sleep, but they're not minor at all. They're the difference between a quiet night and a catastrophic one. They're life lessons from the elderly, the painful wisdom of people like Ruth, Michael, and Irene, who want others to learn before it's too late. Because elderly wisdom isn't about fear. It's about caring enough to change. It's about valuing the gift of tomorrow. And it's about remembering that at any age, true motivation comes not from avoiding discomfort, but from embracing it for the sake of life, dignity, and the people we love. If you spend any time talking with older adults about sleep, one theme keeps returning: how it changes with age. It's something no one warns you about when you're young. People imagine aging means going to bed early and waking at dawn feeling rested. But ask any senior and you'll hear the truth. Sleep becomes fragmented, lighter, and more elusive after 65. And it's in this restless night that sleep apnea often hides. Sleep apnea is one of the most dangerously underdiagnosed health threats in seniors. It's easy to dismiss as just snoring, a harmless annoyance that makes grandchildren giggle at sleepovers. But sleep apnea is not simply noise. It's the sound of oxygen being stolen from the brain and heart over and over. Each pause in breathing triggers an alarm in the body, causing adrenaline to spike and blood pressure to rise. This happens dozens or even hundreds of times a night, leaving the cardiovascular system battered and exhausted by morning. A study in the Journal of the American Heart Association found untreated sleep apnea more than doubles stroke risk in older adults. Yet so many seniors avoid even testing for it. Why? Pride, stubbornness, fear of admitting vulnerability, fear of the mask. I remember Frank, a 69-year-old retired machinist from Chicago. He told me his story with a dry chuckle that didn't hide the pain. My wife used to say I sounded like a chainsaw. I told her I'd just turn over and be fine. Then one morning, I woke up in the hospital. Stroke. The doctor asked me if I'd ever been tested for sleep apnea. I said no. I didn't want to wear some damn contraption on my face at night. Made me feel like an old man. The doctor just looked at me and said, "Frank, you are an old man, but you don't have to be a dead one." Frank told me he didn't argue after that. Now? I'd wear a whole spacesuit if it meant seeing my grandkids graduate. That CPAP's the best thing I ever hated. That is elderly wisdom at its core, the kind no one wants to earn the hard way. These stories aren't meant to scare you for the sake of it. They're elderly reflections, harsh lessons paid for with health and time. For seniors over 65, especially those with high blood pressure, obesity, or a history of heart problems, the warning signs are critical. Loud, chronic snoring, gasping or choking during sleep, waking up exhausted no matter how many hours you were in bed, morning headaches, trouble staying awake during the day. These are not cute quirks of getting older, they're your body begging for help. Modern sleep medicine has made treatment more comfortable than ever. CPAP machines are quieter, more portable and better tolerated. For some people, dental devices or lifestyle changes can help, but nothing can help if you refuse to look. Senior health means checking even when you're afraid of the answer. It means choosing your family's peace of mind over your own pride. Because in the quiet of night, sleep apnea is not quiet at all. It's a predator that hunts slowly, silently, until the moment it pounces, and then it's too late. But sleep apnea isn't the only danger that lives in the hours before dawn. Equally deadly is the all too common habit of using sedatives or alcohol to force sleep. It's an easy trap to fall into. Insomnia is a cruel companion, whispering doubts and worries when the world is dark and quiet. For seniors, loneliness, grief, fear of illness, or simply the stubborn racing of an aging mind can make rest feel impossible. Doctors know this, pharmacies know it, and, unfortunately, so do the people who sell alcohol. There's a cultural image of the nightcap. Just one drink to take the edge off, to close the day with a warm glow. There's the little pill on the nightstand, prescribed months or years ago, never re-evaluated. But what many seniors don't realize is that both alcohol and sedatives depress the central nervous system. They slow breathing, lower oxygen levels during sleep, and can worsen undiagnosed sleep apnea. Instead of gentle rest, they create dangerous, suffocating silence. A 2019 Mayo Clinic study found that older adults using benzodiazepines, a class of sedatives that includes common prescriptions like Valium or Ativan, had significantly higher risk of stroke. The risk grows when combined with alcohol, but doctors see it all the time. A senior on an old prescription, no recent evaluation, chasing sleep without realizing the cost. Joe, 74, from Texas, spoke about it with blunt regret. I always liked a little whiskey before bed. My dad did it. I did it. Figured it helped me sleep. Didn't know it was putting me to sleep in the wrong way. He paused, voice hardening. I ended up in the ER after I fell one night, drunker than I thought I was. Doctor told me straight, Joe, you're going to kill yourself trying to get a good night's sleep. That's elderly reflections at their starkest, because seniors don't talk enough about this. They don't always admit the truth to their kids, their doctors, even themselves. But elderly wisdom tells us this: good sleep is priceless, but not if it's bought on credit you can't repay. Instead of the easy chemical shortcut, there are safer, healthier paths. Create a calming routine that signals the body it's time to rest. Dim the lights. Put the phone away, read something gentle. Practice slow breathing or gratitude meditation. Herbal teas like chamomile can help. And crucially, if you're on sedatives, talk to your doctor before stopping. Never go cold turkey alone. Senior health is not about denying comfort. It's about choosing the kind of comfort that lets you wake up tomorrow. Because every choice at night ripples into the morning. Every shortcut has its price. And the truth is, life lessons from the elderly show us that real motivation comes not from ignoring the risks, but from loving life enough to change. These habits, ignoring sleep apnea and relying on sedatives or alcohol to sleep, are not trivial. They're deeply human attempts to soothe fear, anxiety, and pain. But they're also invitations for us and for those we love to choose better. Because elderly reflections aren't just about what went wrong, they're about what we can still do right. They remind us that caring for ourselves isn't selfish. It's the most generous gift we can give the people who still want us here, healthy and awake to share one more sunrise. If there's one habit that seems the most innocent but can be the most dangerous for seniors, it's this: going to bed with your mind tangled in worries, regrets, and the day's relentless noise. It's the habit of carrying your burdens into the bedroom and refusing to set them down, no matter how heavy they've grown over the years. For many seniors, the hours before sleep become a personal courtroom, reviewing past mistakes, fretting about the future, relitigating old arguments with people no longer around to hear them. Add in the nightly news with its grim drumbeat of war, disaster, and conflict, or the endless scroll of social media arguments, and you have a perfect storm of stress hormones surging through the bloodstream at the worst possible time. Psychologists call this cognitive arousal, but for seniors it's simpler than that. It's worry that doesn't know how to turn itself off, and the body pays for it. Because stress isn't just a feeling, it's a physical process. Cortisol and adrenaline rise, blood vessels constrict, the heart pounds harder, and blood pressure goes up precisely when it should be falling to allow the body to rest and repair. Research out of Sweden has shown that older adults with high evening stress have measurably worse nighttime blood pressure control, a risk that can quietly set the stage for a stroke. And this isn't theoretical, it's real, it's personal. I remember talking with Elsa, 79, from a small town in Germany. She sat on the edge of her bed, the late afternoon light soft on her lined face. She shook her head slowly as she talked. I used to think watching the news was being responsible, she told me. But it wasn't just watching, it was worrying. About wars, about the climate, about my son's divorce, about my own funeral plans. I would turn off the TV and just lie there, thinking. She paused, swallowing hard. My doctor told me my blood pressure at 2 a.m. was like a rocket. I was so embarrassed, I thought I was just being informed. Instead, I was poisoning myself with worry. That's the raw truth of elderly reflections. It isn't about blaming ourselves for caring. It's about understanding that caring has to have boundaries. Elsa eventually made a change. She said, I started reading a novel before bed. I turned off the TV after dinner. I told myself, Elsa, the world can wait until morning. And I started sleeping. My doctor was amazed. My numbers improved. I felt human again. Elderly wisdom tells us that it's okay, necessary even, to put the world down at the bedroom door. Not because the problems aren't real, but because we can't fix them all at midnight. And the truth is, no one else wants to see us pay with our health for our caring hearts. For seniors who want to protect themselves, the solution isn't about turning cold or uncaring. It's about choosing peace at the right time. Creating a soothing bedtime ritual that signals the brain it's safe to slow down. That might mean turning off the news early in the evening, choosing gentle music or reading something beautiful, talking quietly with a partner, or writing in a journal to release the day's worries onto paper instead of carrying them in your chest all night. For some, it's prayer or gratitude, whispering thanks for even the smallest of blessings before closing their eyes. Because senior health isn't only about blood pressure cuffs and pills. It's about tending the heart in the truest sense. It's about making sure we don't let fear, regret, or the endless troubles of the world steal the healing that only sleep can offer. These quiet choices are life lessons from the elderly, hard-won and honest. When you look back at these 6 habits, eating heavy late meals, skipping hydration to avoid trips to the bathroom, lying completely flat in bed despite heart or lung issues, ignoring sleep apnea, using alcohol or sedatives to chase sleep, and carrying stress like a secret burden into bed. They don't seem dramatic, but that's what makes them so dangerous. They're small, familiar, easy to ignore. They hide in the routines of life until one day, in the middle of the night, they show their true cost. But here's what elderly reflections always remind us. It doesn't have to be that way. Change is possible at any age. I've met 85-year-olds who made new routines and felt stronger than they had at 65. I've seen people trade pride for a CPAP machine and get years back with their grandkids. I've heard seniors laugh about how much better they sleep after giving up that nightly whiskey. And I've seen tears of relief on faces that finally allowed themselves to put down the world's problems before sleep. Elderly wisdom is not about shaming anyone for what they did yesterday. It's about giving ourselves permission to choose better tonight, because every night we change gives us another morning to cherish, another chance to be present, another hug, another laugh, another whispered, "I love you." So if you're watching or listening right now and thinking about someone over 65 you love, maybe it's you, maybe it's your parent, maybe it's your spouse, ask this: what small thing can we change tonight so we can wake up safer tomorrow? Because that's all these lessons are. Not commands, not judgments, just invitations. Invitations to choose health, to choose life, to choose one more sunrise. If this message has meant something to you, please share it. Let someone you love hear these elderly reflections, these life lessons from the elderly that were paid for in tears and triumph both. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future stories about senior health, elderly wisdom, motivation, and inspiration from people who know better than anyone how precious every day truly is. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I'd love to know, because no matter where you are in the world, these lessons belong to all of us, and it's never too late to listen.